and welcome to Your Coaching Journey, a podcast for doctors about coaching. Whether you're a coaching doctor, a doctor who is learning to coach, or a doctor who'd like to build coaching into your professional life, then this is the podcast for you. Hello, I'm Tom Dillon, and with me today is my co-host and business partner, Helen Leathers. Hello, Helen. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much.
Good.
What are we talking about today, Helen?
Today, I thought we could have a chat about art in coaching.
Art in coaching.
Yes.
Interesting.
No artistic ability is required.
Good. That's a good thing. It's funny because I quite like a bit of art, and I've always done a bit of sketching and I've dabbled. But
We've got some of your paintings somewhere, haven't we?
Yeah, and some sketches and stuff. But whenever I'm asked to draw something in a coaching context, my supervisor, Bob, sometimes says, "Oh, just draw that for me, Tom." Oh, please don't ask me to draw. It's always stick figures and it's never a work of art. It is just very basic. Oh, but that's fine.
That's fine, absolutely. Yeah. So I thought we could have a chat about it.
Yeah. I think the last one he got me to draw was kind of my life from here on in.
Oh.
A big topic, but basically I drew an American football pitch. And, it was more the four quarters of an American football game and recognizing I was coming up to the fourth quarter of life.
Cheery.
But it was cheery because it was actually thinking about how can that be the best fourth quarter it could possibly be, rather than thinking, it's the fourth quarter.
Not long to go.
I'll just shuffle off, shall I? It was like, right, what do I want to do with the fourth quarter? Like, there's a lot of games still to be played in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely.
That was kind of the metaphor I was going for. But it was still very stick figures and, not a lot of artistic endeavour.
I think that it's an approach to coaching that I think will get some people immediately going, oh, that's not for me. And probably for, similar reasons, they're like, I'm just going to end up drawing stick figures. And I think if someone thinks they don't like it, as the coach, they will be less likely to use it with their coachees, which is a shame because I think it's really, really useful. So before we start, I'm just going to invite our listeners to be open-minded and maybe just consider giving it a go. And I really hated it the first time I came across it, and it was one of your workshops, and we'd not long met.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
It was exciting. What was it?
So it was one of your co-coaching workshops, and I can't even remember what the topic on it. In my head, it's resilience.
Yeah, it probably was. Yes, no, you're right. It's coming back. I can remember the church hall we were in now.
And you got us all to draw resilience. And I was sitting there thinking, I really don't want to do this. But obviously I was trying to impress you, right? Yeah. So I couldn't be, too resistant.
Now you just go, no.
No, I wouldn't, because that session made me realise how powerful it could be.
Yeah, I was talking about the stage of our relationship.
I see. Yeah. No. So, I'm still trying to impress you every day.
She's really not.
God, it's not working. Okay, so I remember just doing this drawing and thinking, really didn't want to do it, but I did it.
What did you draw?
I can still remember. So it was like an oak tree that had nice solid roots, but when it went up into its branches, they were like a willow tree.
Okay.
And I remember you then said to turn to the person you're working with and talk about your picture. And this is where my revelation came in, because I was talking about my picture and I suddenly said, oh, I've missed something. I've missed the flower under the tree. And I added to the picture. And it was in that moment that I realised the power wasn't in doing the drawing, even if it was a wonderful drawing, but probably not going to be a wonderful drawing. The power was in thinking about the drawing afterwards and talking it through. And there was something magical about that. So I really got on board after that. So I just thought I'd share that.
Very nice. Thank you. And actually nice to be reminded of that workshop. And yeah, it was something I used to, I don't really talk about resilience an awful lot these days. I don't run workshops and things on resilience, but in the day,
Yeah.
Back in the day, that is something that I would do, get people to draw it. And I used to love the ideas people came up with. So like Superwoman would be a concept. Or, like you say, mountains maybe, oak trees, willow trees, bouncy, tiggery things, all sorts of things that people would see as resilience or their own particular brand of resilience. So, yeah, good.
So yes, I'm just going to invite our listeners to be curious.
Not to draw it, but just
not to draw it. No, to be curious about the topic and be open-minded about whether it's suitable for them or for their coachees. Just perhaps treat it as a bit of an experiment. So as you know, I like to use visualization. I like to use meditation techniques, and I like embodiment work, and I like people getting out of their seats in coaching and getting to go past their rational thinking mind a little bit and just kind of bypassing that thinking mind.
Yeah, and I think art is a great way to get people past that cognitive processing, that almost mechanical, okay, this is the problem, these are the things I could do, this solution, just working through it in a very cognitive way. I think being asked, like I was asked to draw it, it does take you to a different place, a more creative, imaginative place.
Yeah, and I wonder if perhaps it can fast track our thinking a little bit by, broadening.
It probably slows it down, if anything.
Oh, no, sorry. I meant fast tracking as in getting past our resistance quicker.
Okay.
So we can still be very cognitive, very cognitive, very cognitive. And if we carry on coaching, we can start to expand our thinking. I wonder if you insert something creative early, you get to that point quicker.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
Fast track rather than bypass, I suppose. I don't know. I've lost
one
my
of those things. So and I'm reminded of Richard Boyatzis and his whole task positive network. So if we just focus on the goal, focus on how we're going to get there and how we're going to do that quickly. If we just focus on that, it closes down the default mode network, which is that visualization space, that almost daydreaming space of being able to come up with more expansive answers, to go to a different place. So I guess art is the same, unless you become very task focused on the piece of art. But I think being creative is what we're looking for in a coaching space, isn't it? Expanding the mind, generating new thinking.
Yeah.
And we can't generate new thinking if we're just focused on the task. So there is definitely, and Richard Boyatzis would say if we are in that task positive network mode, then it suppresses the default mode network, so stops us visualizing. And so if we actively engage in an activity that invites that visualization, then all the better, I think.
Yeah, and we can think about the how later.
Yeah.
Let's open things up a little bit, and I think art is one way that we can do that.
And I invite every coachee that I have to draw their river of life before they come to the coaching. So when I've done a chemistry session, I'll say, okay, I'm going to send you an exercise to do. Just have a go. But it's an invitation. They don't have to do that. But we'll ask them to draw their river of life. And get some great rivers. And sometimes they're not drawings. Sometimes it might be a collage. I did have one guy in a workshop once who just he just typed it out. It wasn't a river at all. It was just, he just typed up things that happened. But, for the most part, people do go to a creative place. And say, even if it is a collage or, some sort of PowerPoint thing they put together, there's still a creative element to that. And there's generally some images, some visualization involved in that. So art isn't necessarily drawing. It could be collage.
Yeah, absolutely.
It could be sculpture.
Oh, that could be messy in the coaching room.
But I think that's an interesting point, isn't it? It doesn't need to be an activity that is in the coaching room. It could be homework.
Absolutely.
Outside or pre-coaching work.
Yeah, and I'd say it lends itself to homework, doesn't it? But apart from anything, you don't want someone paying for your time if you're just going to sit there and watch them draw. So I think it's a really great piece of work to do in between sessions.
Yeah, no, but maybe that is a limiting belief. That
Maybe.
It's not good use of the coaching time to just sit and watch them draw. Maybe it is.
Oh, maybe we can take that away then.
Yeah, so, well, say my supervisor, Bob, did a couple of sessions ago say, just draw it out for me. And I really didn't want, because I kind of think, I'm paying you for this, Bob.
Yeah, my point.
But actually, it was a useful exercise. So I can still remember what I drew. So that tells us something, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned sort of drawing out the future and what you might like to have. And that's something that I've definitely used with my clients. I've had them draw their future and think about that. But in between sessions, but I've also asked them on occasion to draw where they are now. And so when they come back to the coaching, we can look at the two pictures and think, what have they got in the now picture that they still want to keep in their future picture? In talking it through, they can see where they can bridge the gaps, the path perhaps they can take towards that desired future. And it's been really useful for so many of my clients, like talking it through. But sometimes even they just turn up and they'll say, just in the drawing of it, I've now made this change in my life, just from the process of the activity, which is lovely.
Yeah, I actually, and what it can highlight as well is the challenges that might come in trying to get to that possible future.
Yeah.
So I remember doing this work with a group. We were doing a team building exercise, and I asked them to draw where they were now and then where they wanted to be. And they did that, but in between there was like a canyon.
Oh.
So then they had to find a bridge to get across the canyon, but the canyon was everything that stood in the way of them getting to where they wanted to be.
Ooh,
so yeah, again, I can still see that image. So it can be really powerful for people to remember what was discussed and what they saw as potential challenges and how they were going to overcome those challenges. So I think that there was a bridge in the picture. But it's then, well, what is that bridge? And
interesting. So I think for our listeners, if you're asking people to draw, and I always ask people to just take a snapshot of it and send it to me before the session so I've got it, then us asking questions, asking them to tell us about the picture and, oh, what's this over here kind of thing, it just elicits more awareness in the client. They've had some awareness from doing the drawing, but then they have that further awareness in talking it through with you. And exploring that. Yeah,
and quite often doing the River of Life, they'll suddenly go, oh, my mum's not on this picture. And there's something in that. There will be a reason why, and they will kind of start to explore that and go, okay, that's interesting. And so there's definitely the talking through of the image is definitely worthwhile doing. So
yeah, so me adding to the picture that I drew that I mentioned earlier, it was a refinement in my thinking around the topic. Oh, I've missed out the flower under the tree. And, that was probably about that growth from difficult situations that people can have. So I think it's almost like the paper or the background provides a broader landscape. We can get that tunnel vision when we're thinking about a problem.
Yeah.
And if we've got this bigger picture, it almost automatically provides a broader landscape in which to think about the problem and open up our awareness, take the blinkers off almost, which I quite like.
Yeah. I say if people are drawing, I think they're less fearful of putting down quite creative, imaginative possibilities that they might go, well, of course that will never happen, but they put it down anyway. So they've gone to that place, and going to the place normally is the first step, isn't it? Of, okay, that's something that's in my head and not sure that it could be something yet, but it's there. So let's explore it.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier about PowerPoint presentations and creativity, and I've seen someone use photos, and we've done the River of Life, and they've used pictures of different rivers that have actually been part of their life. I was born near here, and then there was a waterfall down the road, and that represents this part, which is fascinating. But I do think there's something about holding a pencil, holding a brush, holding a crayon, and putting that on paper that makes our brains work differently than words or just using a computer, potentially.
Yeah. I've not done the research around that. It's David Hockney, isn't it, that uses an iPad these days to paint. Yeah, I'm not sure of the neural pathways that are used to get to that place of creating something that isn't you using your hand with a pencil or a brush. So maybe it's very similar.
It might be. For me, it feels different, but I know. Then I have done a little bit of self-experimentation with my writing, because I always thought I had to write by hand when I'm being creative. And I've compared writing by hand and writing by typing, and it's just different. It's not one or is better than the other, but it is different.
Yeah. Whereas I for a long time, I've been very comfortable in doing whatever writing I'm doing. So when I wrote my book, it's all typed. I would never pick up a pen and paper. My handwriting is terrible. I need my handwriting. So that's probably a good reason for me doing it. But I don't really find that there's that difference. I don't think it would be a benefit for me to write rather than type. So maybe it's the same. Maybe someone being creative and finding images. Yeah, a great one for if I've got to do a presentation, having a PowerPoint that's just full of images and try to avoid putting words on the screen at all cost. But that's a creative process for me to find the images that say what I want to say. So again, maybe within the coaching room, that's the same. That if you invite someone for homework to create an image of the future, maybe that's absolutely fine to use photographs.
Yeah. So I think there's also that sort of outdated idea that we engage with the more creative side of our brain when we're doing art to help us think more creatively about a problem. But we know that all of the brain works when we're being creative. It's not one side or the other. And there's some really interesting research, 2025 research on this, which I'll put a link to in the show notes, about creative endeavours, engaging the whole of the brain, integrating the memory centres, the problem-solving centres, the emotions, the flexible thinking. So I think it has this lovely all-round effect when we start drawing, when we start being creative.
Yeah, I was just reminded, Hae-Sen Moon, who's a solution-focused coach, presenter, academic, she will say, a whole magic wand question that we use in solution-focused. If we go to that magic wand place of imagining the future, what would that look like? She will say it's not possible to think of things that aren't already in your head. So that accessing our memory. So if you were to imagine your perfect home, your perfect house, the elements of that house will have been things you've seen somewhere before. Yeah. So the door might be something you've seen, but it will all be in there somewhere. Just looking for a way out. So I thought that was interesting. So you write that it would access memory as well as future vision.
Yeah.
So what would be your top tips, Helen, for engaging with art in coaching?
I think, first of all, to make it an invitation. I think it lends itself to homework, but like we say, maybe that's just a limited belief. But we might want to invite our coachee, so they don't feel under pressure, to try to create something for next time. I'll just say, this is a lovely exercise. If you want to give it a go, it could be really interesting for you. And then that leads me on to my second top tip, which is to take the pressure off. So I will say, if I know they've got kids, I'll go, have you got crayons lying around? Because crayons aren't about refined artwork. If you say pencils.
I was doing a thing with my granddaughter the other day, who's 3, and it was like a spray paint thing. So she had stencils, and then you sprayed different colours that you could spray. It was like it's like a pen, but you sprayed it. Anyway, it was weird. So I had a go. She did one. So I had a go, and she was very critical of my output. I think, no, Grandad, that's not right.
I think what it is she's very competitive. I have no idea where she gets this from. But I think she's competitive, so she just wants to be better than you.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everything is.
Clapping.
No, I was clapping for Magnus, the baby, the other day, and she was clapping, and she said, my clapping's better than yours, Grandad. What? That's not a thing. We're just clapping. So yeah, very competitive. But yeah, maybe if you're using your child's crayons, don't do it in front of them.
No.
They might be critical of your output.
Absolutely, absolutely. Or draw all over it. So yes, I will say, have you got access to some crayons? Because as I say, it's less refined, or, colour pencils, paints, whatever. And then I explain the task, invite them to give it a go and send me the picture before the next session. But I just reassure them it's not a work of art that's required. It's not a competition. Stick people will suffice, and so on.
I quite often find that, particularly with the River of Life, where I've made that invitation, people quite often don't bring it to the first session. The dog ate it, or they left it on the bus, or something. Something will have happened to it that they couldn't bring it. And there is maybe again it's because it's the River of Life, but there's almost like a trust thing that they have to trust you in order to be able to share their artwork with you.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be upset if someone didn't bring it. It might be the fourth session before we discuss their artwork.
Be flexible.
Yeah.
And I think my final tip is to set your own feelings and assumptions aside. And we mentioned this right at the start of the podcast. I invite you to be curious. Maybe, don't think, will their coachee like it? Or I wonder if the coachee's artistic. Just perhaps, just assume that you're going to give out the information. If they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. But you won't know until you give it a go. And you might be pleasantly surprised, because I always find my coachees very enthusiastic and get huge revelation from it.
Excellent. Okay, I've got an idea. Let's invite our listeners to draw something for us and they can send it to us.
Oh,
so
exciting.
Let's have your perfect day. So if they send it to us, then we can share that on our social media platforms.
Yes, just
have a bit of a gallery of
like Tony Hart.
The perfect day. We could do the Tony Hart music, the Vision Art music.
Yes. I love Tony Hart.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Brilliant idea.
Look forward to that. But I think if they want to take it one step further, because most of our listeners are coaches, you might well be on one of our courses. Take your picture to your next coaching session, perhaps, and have some coaching around it. Explore it with your coach, or find someone on your course and decide to do this together, that you're both going to explore your perfect day together. Because for me, it's the talking it through. Not for everyone. For some people, it's the drawing, but for me, it's the talking it through that refines my thinking around it. So, a 2-step invitation there, just to be curious.
Excellent stuff. Thank you.
Lovely.
Enjoyed that today.
Yeah, can't wait to see some pictures.
Yeah, a good reminder of, I'd forgotten I used to do that exercise around resilience.
Next time on the podcast, I've got another interview.
Another interview? Excellent.
I'm really looking forward to it. So,
excellent. Thank you, Helen.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.